Okay, so it's hard to put it down to five, but I'll share five stories that that I really love. I mean, the first thing I want to share is when we first met.
Yeah.
When we first met, I had already healed my body, and I was in this sort of personal growth and healing stage of my life, and I had just learned to really step into my energy and really step into who I was. And I showed up at this nutrition conference that I was working with a nutrition teacher to teach this conference in Malibu, California, which is sort of like a celebrity hideaway in the mountains overlooking the ocean. And all these celebrities came. And I'm not a starstruck person, so I didn't really care about that. And I was in the back room getting the goodie bags because, you can't have a celebrity event without goodie bags. So I was putting the goodie bags together, and my friend who was doing the enrollment came running into the room and said, "You'll never guess who's here." And I was like, "You know me, I'm not starstruck." And she said, "It's Louise Hay." And my hand was on my heart, and I said, "The Louise Hay?" And she said, "Yes." And we grabbed each other and started jumping up and down. And to me, it was the most hilarious thing that, Louise doesn't think of herself as a celebrity, but all those people that were there that were like movie stars and stuff, and we didn't even care about that. All we cared about was Louise Hay was there, and the woman who's changed our lives. And so I was really excited. And so I went out. We had a 4-day class together, and it was full days. And at one point, I loved Louise right from when I first met her. And at one point she came up to me and she said, "You have a really special light about you." And she said, "I really want to keep in touch." And I remember thinking, first of all, I was blown over by her saying that. And so, in such gratitude that she would say that. And she gave me her business card, and I gave her mine, and she said, "The writing on your business card is too small." Which is Louise. She's such a great business person. She doesn't say that, but she has all these great business ideas that are so natural and intuitive. And she's like, "You need to get bigger writing on your business card." And so we exchanged cards, and we said we were going to keep in touch. And then I thought, I lived on the East Coast and she lived on the West Coast, and she's 40 years older than me. And I thought, how are we supposed to be keeping in touch? Like, what is this going to look like? And that's when I thought, we could meet at the I Can Do It's, the Hay House events, because Louise had just started coming back. She was 79. She had just started coming back into the teaching again. And so she was at the I Can Do It. So we started meeting, and I would get a hotel room that had a kitchen, and I would make a really healthy meal. And, when you're at those events, she's eating restaurant meals all the time. And she loved the ability to sneak away from the event and have something that was really healing, that was home cooked. So we started doing that several times a year. And then, so that was one of my first great memories. And then the second great memory is, I don't know if I shared this on our last call, but people may have heard this story before, but it's one of my favorites. When Hay House called me and asked me to travel with Louise, it was 2013 that we started traveling together, maybe 2012, actually, 2012. And they asked me, and I said, oh, of course I'd love to travel with Louise. So I packed my bag, and I get to Toronto, where she was doing teaching with Cheryl Richardson. And the first moment that I got there, she took me to a restaurant. She's like, "I found a really healthy restaurant. We're going to go have a great lunch." So we went. And as we were eating, she said, "Look across the street, look out the window." And I look out, and there's this giant sign that says, "The Condom Shack." And it's giant. And we started laughing. And I looked at her and I said, "We have to go, don't you?" And she goes, "Really?" She's like, "Let's go." So we finish lunch and we go over there and we buy stuff. We're in there. And my husband calls me an hour later when I get back to the hotel, and he gets these notifications on the credit card so we can monitor for security. And he said, "Did you really spend $177 at the Condom Shack?" And we started laughing. And of course, at that point, he's thinking, "Go travel with Louise whenever you want," and we just had so much fun. And, the next day we were in the lunchroom at the I Can Do It, and she pulled something out of her purse from the Condom Shack, and Robert Holden was sitting with us, and his eyes got big, and he was like, "Where did you get that?" And she said, at this place called the Condom Shack, and I have to go back there because something's wrong, and I have to take this back. And he's like, "You're not going back without me." So the next thing is we're all in the elevator, and suddenly more and more people are showing up from Hay House wanting to come to the condom shack. And we've got this group of 8 people. And Louise, like the Pied Piper, is leading us down the street from the hotel to the condom shack. And of course, everybody's laughing and having a great time. So she's always doing these unusual things that everybody is laughing and happy. And so I always, from that point on, we became shenanigan friends. Like we were always wanting to get into some shenanigan and some fun, so that'll take me to my next memory on another trip that we were in New York City. And Louise and I, on one of the trips prior to New York City, had watched the remake of The Great Gatsby on the plane home, but we were watching it without the sound. And we were looking at the clothes and we were marveling because she always loved the 1940s and the 1920s, and so did I. And we were marveling at how beautiful the clothes were. So for the trip to New York City, I had